Hello Year 3 and welcome to today's maths lesson. We are carrying on with fractions, but first of all you are going to get on with your do now. Right, so today's do now is a little bit different. I am going to ask you to be calculating different number bonds to different amounts. So band 1 you're going to be adding on to make 20. So what do you add to 1 to make 20? What do you add to 2 to make 20? Band 2 is going to be making as many number bonds, so additions, as you can to 30. And then for our band 3, you're going to be writing 5 addition bonds, so 2 numbers which are adding up to make 50. You're going to write a subtraction bond, so 2 numbers that you subtract to make 50. So for example, 51 take away 1 equals 50. There we go, I've given you one for free. And then multiplication, 2 numbers that you multiply to make 50. As usual, press pause and then press play when you're ready to get started with the lesson. Okay, we're not going to check our answers for our do now, because what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to upload them to Seesaw so we can take a look and see your different answers for this, because it'll be really interesting to see how different people come up with different answers. So today we are going to be calculating fractions of an amount. So remember, what we need to do is identify the whole, identify the number of groups, the denominator, identify how many groups we need to count, your numerator. So our star words, we've been using them for a few days now, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't still be saying them out loud and proud. Remember, my turn, your turn. Fraction, numerator, vinculum, denominator, divide, multiply, and whole. Well done. Right, someone's decided to grace themselves with our presence, haven't you? Yes, yes, yes. I know you're very excited to be loud back in the math lesson. So, again, this was meant to be done with sweets, but yes, you ate them all. Yes, he's very pleased with himself. So, today we are going to be looking at non-unit fractions of amounts. So remember, non-unit means that our numerator is bigger than 1. Unit means 1, so 1/3. Non-unit is bigger than 1, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Doesn't matter what our denominator is, but our numerator is always going to be bigger than 1. So I am looking to find 2/3 of these marshmallows. 2/3 of these marshmallows. My first step, it's the same as we did in our last lesson, but we may as well remind ourselves, our first step is going to be identifying the whole. So identifying how many marshmallows we have in total. Simplest way to do that is to count. I've got nice clean hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm looking to find 2/3 of 9. 2/3 of 9. Our next step, remember, we're needing to be looking at how many groups we're dividing 9 into, which means we are going to look to our denominator. And what is our denominator? Our denominator here is 3. It's 3. So I'm just going to move you a little bit back there, Percy. Because I need to count. That's why you need to move. We're going to split these marshmallows into 3 equal groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've splitted my marshmallows into 3 equal groups. I'm just going to underline my denominator here so I know I've identified it. My next step wasn't quite as important with unit fractions, but I said it was we needed to always remember it. It's going to be identifying how many groups we need to count. We need to count here How many groups do we need to count? Oh, I know that because I can check my numerator, so my top number. So how many groups I count? I count 2 because my numerator is 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2/3 of 9 is equal to 6. I've done that by looking at my whole, knowing that my whole needs to be divided by the number of groups, so the denominator, and then we need to multiply by the numerator. So you think of it, take your whole, divide it by the denominator or the bottom of the fraction, and then multiply that answer by the top or the numerator. That is as simple as it is. So let's look at a few more examples. There are 12 pods on the London Eye. 3/4 of the pods are full. How many pods are full? So I need to know my whole. What is my whole? My whole here is 12. 12 pods. I've represented them here as circles. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. My whole is 12. My whole is 12. I'm just going to underline my whole here so I know what it is. Right. My denominator. What is my denominator? My denominator is going to be the number of groups that I need to split my 12 pods into. So my denominator here is 4. So I am splitting my pods into 4 equal groups. Let's do that now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that wasn't an equal group. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I've got my 4 equal groups now. My 4 equal groups. How many pods are there in one group? So what is 1/4 of 12? So I can divide 12 by 4. Remember, you can divide the whole by the denominator, and that is equal to 3. And I've proved that by splitting these dots into my groups. So split my pods into my groups. 1, 2, 3. So now what I need to do is I need to work out then and count how many groups. So I'm going to count 3 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 pods altogether. Therefore, 3/4 of 12 is 9. I know that. I can also check that. Remember, 12 divided by my denominator is 3, then multiply 3 by 3, and it is 9. So we can use both ways to check our answer. There are 16 people. 16 people. There's 16 people here. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 people. 3/8 of these people are wearing hats. How many people are wearing hats? So what is our whole? We've counted it to check it. Our whole is 16. Next, we need to work out our denominator, the number of groups, the number we will be dividing 16, the number of groups we'll be dividing 16 into. The number of groups, my denominator here is 8. And would you look at that? I've got my groups down here ready to go. So let's split my 16 between 8 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I've split 16 into 8 equal groups. What I now know is that I now know how many are in one group. In one group, so 1/8 of 16 is 2. 16 divided by 8 is equal to 2. I can use my inverse to help me check that as well. 8 times 2 is 16. So I need to now look at what is my numerator. So how many of these groups am I interested to, do I need to count to find out my answer? So I can look at my numerator. So I can look at my numerator. I'm looking for 3 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The answer is 6. I know this because my numerator, my numerator, remember, is 3. I know this because 16 divided by 8 is equal to 2. My whole divided by my denominator, or my number of groups, is equal to 2. Then I need to multiply by the number of groups that I'm interested in, or my numerator, or the top number. 16 divided by 8 is equal to 2. 2 times 3 is equal to 6. Therefore, there are 6 people wearing hats. There are 6 people wearing hats. Let me just quickly show you that on my board, just so we get a really clear idea of what that means. So I'm looking to find 3/8 of 16. My first step is my whole. I know my whole is 16. And I'm going to show you this using our calculations at the same time. So my whole is 16. I'm going to divide 16 between 8 groups. So this will be my equation, 16 divided by 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, Percy. So I'm going to divide 16 into 8 equal groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. In each one group, there are two people, or in this case, 2 dots. So 16 divided by 8 is equal to 2. Using our inverse, our inverse would be 8 times 2, and we know that is equal to 16. We'll put that in brackets so we know that we're just using that as a bit of a check. So we've worked out that if we look at, in one group, in one of our groups, there are 2 dots. So 1/8 of 16 is 2. If we divide 16 into 8, we get 2. So we now need to know, we've divided by the denominator, we need to now multiply by the numerator. So we want to know 2 groups. We've got 2 in each group, and we need to know how many there are in 3 groups. We know our 2 times table, 2, 4, 6. Let's check with our number of groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There, 3/8 of 16 is equal to 6. You can see there's so many different ways you can work this out. You can use your times tables, facts. You can just use your grouping to help you with your pictures. So we should be able to sort these questions out very clearly. Okay, we're going to now look at a bit of a kind of a true or false or agree or disagree question, which are always a really good way of testing our knowledge. There were 40 biscuits. We have 40 biscuits in the tin here. Percy decided to eat 4/5 of the biscuits. Yeah, I know. No biscuit for me with my cup of tea this morning. Percy is very proud of himself for 2 reasons. Number 1, he's eaten 50 biscuits. Number 2, he managed to do math to solve out how many biscuits he'd eaten. He was really, really, really proud. Do we agree or disagree with Percy? Maybe press pause now to have a quick think. Do you agree or disagree? I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with you. Don't give me that look. Looking at the answer, does it make sense? What is our whole? What is our whole? Our whole is 40. Our whole is 40. So the total number of biscuits. Our whole is 40. The answer, we're asking for a fraction of the whole, which we know is going to be a smaller part. Is 50 bigger than 40? Yes, 50 is a greater number. So I'm afraid, Percy, your maths is not correct. So let's take a look and see if we can make it correct. So we need to remember, identify the whole. We're going to identify our whole. Our whole is 40. We're looking for 4/5 of 40. So we need to identify the number of groups. Straight to our denominator. What is our denominator here? Our denominator is 5. So if you think about it, remember it's always divide by the denominator, which makes sense because we're splitting 4 into equal groups of 5. We're splitting 40 into 5 equal groups. 40 into 5 equal groups. See if you can say that quickly. So that would be 40 divided by 5. Right, we've got a couple of ways we can do this. We might just know this off our top of our heads because we know our 5 times tables. Otherwise, we can skip count in 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. 5. To get to 40, we need 8 groups of 5. 8 groups of 5 is equal to 40. 8 times 5 is equal 40. Right, so we now know that 1/5 of 40 is equal to 8. 1/5 of 40 is equal to 8. But I don't want to know just 1/5 because there's not many biscuits left, are there? I need to know how many biscuits the greedy little bear, has eaten. So I need to multiply by my numerator. So how many groups I count, I need to multiply by my numerator. So my equation is 8 times 4. Let's do our 4 times table. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. 32. 8 groups of 4 is equal to 32. We always say you need to know your times tables. As you can see, it comes into lots of different parts of maths. It's not just knowing them to be able to say them and win times table rock stars. It's saying them because then you can apply them to things, knowledge like this. And this is going to carry on while you're learning maths at school. So 4/5 of 40 is equal to 32. Percy, you ate 32 biscuits. You could eat more. Of course he could. So he was incorrect. He actually only ate 32. Still very pleased with himself though. Right, so you can now move on to your independent task. Remember, these are your steps to success. You identify the whole. You identify the denominator, the bottom number, which is what we divide our whole by. Then you're going to identify the numerator, the top number, and this is what we multiply the number of groups that we have found. So you divide by the bottom and multiply by the top. Don't get them switched around like Percy did. Please show all your working out. There is also a challenge. The challenge isn't meant to be easy to complete. It's a challenge for a reason. It's a combination of probably some higher challenging band questions and also reasoning. It's challenging. Give it a go. You might want to maybe just do the independent task and then maybe tomorrow look at the challenge. Keep on with the fantastic work. Keep uploading to Seesaw, and I will see you all tomorrow for your next lesson.